Let me tell you something that changed my life. There's one skill, just one, that will make you unstoppable. It's not coding. It's not finance. It's not even leadership. It's communication. The ability to sell, to influence, to connect. That's the $1,000,000 skill. I grew up in chaos, foster homes, juvenile detention, drug addiction. I had every reason to fail. But the moment I learned how to tell my story, how to ask for what I wanted, how to lead a conversation, that was a turning point. The $1,000,000 skill isn't some hidden secret. It's been in front of you all along. It's your voice, your ability to listen, persuade, and move people to action. Leverage is the force multiplier that takes your time, your energy, and your ideas and turns them into exponential results. But what most people don't realize is that leverage doesn't come from tools. It doesn't come from software, automation, or hiring a team, at least not at first. Leverage begins with one thing: communication. Your ability to clearly articulate your vision, your needs, your ideas, and your value is what determines whether people rally around you or ignore you completely. If you can't communicate, you can't delegate. If you can't communicate, you can't sell. And if you can't communicate, no one will ever know the power of your product, your business, or your story. Early in my journey, I had all the ambition in the world. I wanted to build, I wanted to scale, I wanted to lead, but I was stuck doing everything myself. I was wearing all the hats because I didn't know how to explain what I needed from others. I thought I had a time problem. I didn't. I had a communication problem. The minute I got intentional about learning how to communicate, how to be precise, how to be clear, how to inspire, that's when leverage kicked. That's when I could hand off tasks and trust the results. That's when my team started owning the mission. That's when customers started saying yes faster, because the value wasn't buried under noise. It was direct. It was undeniable. I meet founders all the time who are overwhelmed. They're buried in operations. They're grinding 80-hour weeks. And when I ask them, why haven't you hired someone to take that off your plate? The answer is almost always the same: I don't think they do it right. That's not a people problem. That's a communication problem. You either don't know how to set expectations, or you don't know how to transfer your thinking in a way that others can act on. That's a skill, and it's learnable. When you master communication, you can turn your thoughts into action, even when you're not in the room. That's leverage. Think about the most influential people you know, the ones who raise millions of dollars, the ones who attract top talent, the ones who create movements. What do they have in common? They know how to speak, not just on a stage, but in one-on-one conversations, team meetings, investor calls, even emails. They know how to create clarity. They make the complex simple. They make people feel something. And that's what creates momentum. I learned early that you don't scale by doing more. You scale by enrolling others into your vision. But people won't buy into what they don't understand. They won't commit to something that feels vague or half-baked. So every day I practiced. I worked on how I pitched, how I explained ideas, how I gave feedback, because every time I got better at that, things moved faster, outcomes improved, people felt more confident. Communication is not a soft skill. It's the core skill. It's the first domino. When you get it right, you create leverage everywhere. Your team becomes more autonomous. Your customers become advocates. Your partners become amplifiers. Communication lets you create systems, replicate your thinking, and free up your time to focus on the next level. That's where scale lives. Most people chase the tools. They think they need a better app, a new CRM, a virtual assistant, but tools only work when your communication is tight. If you can't describe the result you want in a way that others can act on, the tool won't save you. Master the skill first, then plug in the tools. That's how leverage works. And it all starts with your words. Selling is not just something you do to make money. It's something you do to survive, grow, and lead as an entrepreneur. If you can't sell, you can't raise capital. If you can't sell, you can't recruit. If you can't sell, you can't land your first customer, your next customer, or your biggest deal. Selling is the lifeblood of entrepreneurship. It's not optional. It's not just a department. It's the foundation. And the moment you realize that, everything changes. When I was first starting out, I didn't have a team, I didn't have a brand, I didn't have funding. I had one thing: the ability to convince someone to believe in what I was building. That's it. That's how I closed my first deals. That's how I got momentum. That's how I built trust in the marketplace. Because I wasn't sitting around waiting for people to find me. I was out there talking to people, solving problems, and learning how to pitch what I had in a way that made them say yes. And let me tell you something. It wasn't about being slick. It was about being honest. Clear, confident. That's what real selling is. So many founders avoid sales. They think it's beneath them. They want to delegate it, outsource it, automate it. But here's the truth. Until you can sell what you've created, no one else can. You are the founder, you are the evangelist, you are the one with the clearest vision. And until you can transfer that vision to another human being in a way that creates urgency, belief, and trust, you're not in business. You're just playing entrepreneur. Selling isn't just about closing a deal. It's about creating alignment. It's about understanding the other person's world so deeply that you can speak to their problems better than they can. When people feel understood, they buy, not just with money, but with time, with trust, with commitment. If you can't do that, you're not building a business, you're building a house of cards. Every startup story you admire began with someone selling the idea to an investor, to a co-founder, to a customer, before the product was perfect, before the systems were dialed in, before anything was proven. That's what separates the ones who grow, the ones who stall. Selling is what drives traction. Selling is what turns a garage idea into a company that changes lives. If you can't sell, your idea dies inside. If you can, it spreads like wildfire. I've had to sell in every possible scenario: on stage, over the phone, in boardrooms, through emails, across countries. And here's what I know: the more you sell, the better you get. It's a skill, it's not a personality trait. You don't have to be extroverted, you don't have to be charismatic, you just have to care enough to learn how to speak the language of value. You have to learn how to ask the right questions, how to tell the right story, and how to invite someone into a future that's better than their present. Entrepreneurship is hard. You'll be rejected, you'll be ignored, you'll hear no more than yes. But if you can sell, you'll keep going, you'll pivot, you'll improve, you'll find the people who need what you have, and you'll earn their attention, their trust, and their business. And when you can do that consistently, you win. Because at the end of the day, the best product doesn't win. The best story does. The most confident voice does. The one who can sell leads. That's the truth most people never want to hear, but it's the one truth that can set you free as an entrepreneur. When people talk about success, they talk about hustle, strategy, capital, and luck. But the truth is, every major breakthrough in my life and business came down to one thing: relationships. Every opportunity I've ever had, whether it was a game-changing hire, a strategic partnership, a massive investor deal, or a critical piece of advice, was the direct result of a relationships I had built. The ability to build and nurture relationships is not a side skill. It's the real game, and most people completely overlook it. You can be the smartest person in the room with the most advanced tech, the most brilliant idea, the most bulletproof plan. But if you can't build real relationships, it won't matter. No one wins alone. Success is a team sport, and the quality of the people you surround yourself with will always determine how far and how fast you go. The people you know, and more importantly, the people who trust you, that's your real equity. Most entrepreneurs make the mistake of trying to go fast alone. They think building relationships is networking. They think it's surface level, small talk, business cards, and LinkedIn connections. It's not. Building real relationships is about showing up. It's about being of value before you ask for anything. It's about making deposits, not just withdrawals. It's about having the discipline to follow up, to support people when they need it. and to earn trust over time. You master that, doors start flying open. I've learned that people do business with people they like, trust, and respect, and that doesn't happen by accident. It happens when you care enough to understand someone's story. It happens when you're willing to give without expecting anything in return. That reputation builds like compound interest. People talk. People remember. They remember who showed up when it wasn't convenient. They remember who followed through. They remember who added value without trying to close a deal. Every mentor I've ever had came from a relationship I was willing to invest in before I ever asked for anything. I listened more than I talked. I served before I pitched. I brought energy, gratitude, and humility into every conversation because I know that relationships are the currency of the future. The more valuable relationships you have, the more protected, informed, and empowered you are. It's like having the cheat codes to business, and they're only unlocked through trust. Sometimes people ask me how I land big partnerships or connect with high-level players. The answer is simple. I built a reputation of being valuable, reliable, and generous. I show up with the mindset of how can I help this person win, not how can I get something out of this. And the irony is that's how I get everything I need, not by asking, by giving, by listening, by staying in integrity long after the deal is done. And this isn't just about business, it's about life. The people around you will influence how you think, how you act, and how you show up in the world. If you want to elevate, you need to build proximity with people who are operating at a higher level. But to do that, you need to bring something to the table. You need to be someone worth knowing. You need to build character, not just credentials. Every time I look back at a major win, I see a relationship behind it, a conversation, a referral, a connection. This is the real game. It's not about shouting louder, it's about connecting deeper. And the sooner you start playing that game, the sooner your life begins to shift. Because when you master relationships, you master opportunities. And when you do that consistently, there's no limit to what you can create. Most people walk around saying the same thing. I don't have enough time. That's the go-to excuse for everything. No time to start the business, no time to build the system, no time to train the team, no time to grow. But the truth is, time isn't your problem, skill is. The people who are winning in life and business don't have more hours in the day. They just know how to make those hours count. They've developed the skills that turn effort into results. That's the difference. I used to believe that if I just work harder, things would change. I'd wake up earlier, grind longer, push myself to the edge, and I still wasn't getting the outcomes I wanted. That's when I realized this isn't about effort, it's about leverage. And leverage doesn't come from working more. It comes from becoming more skilled, more precise, more strategic. When you level up your skills, time starts bending in your favor. What used to take you 10 hours now takes 1. What felt overwhelming becomes automatic. And it's not magic, it's mastery. I've met entrepreneurs who are drowning in their own business. They're in the weeds, reacting all day, putting out fires. They think the answer is to hire more people, buy more tools, or somehow stretch their calendar. But none of that works if they haven't built the core skills that allow them to lead, decide, delegate, and execute at a high level. You can throw money and time at a problem, but if you don't have the skills, you'll just create more complexity, more noise, more stress. When I was building my company, I had to learn that every bottleneck was a reflection of a missing skill. If I couldn't delegate effectively, I need to learn how to give clear instructions. If I couldn't close deals, I need to get better at sales conversations. If my team wasn't performing, I needed to sharpen my leadership. There was always a skill gap behind the challenge. And the moment I filled that gap, the problem dissolved. That's the shift most people never make. They keep trying to solve skill problems with time and money, and it never works. This is why I tell founders, stop chasing more time and start chasing better skills. Time doesn't scale, skills do. When you learn how to code, you can build. When you learn how to sell, you can grow. When you learn how to lead, you can scale. When you learn how to say no, you can focus. These are the multipliers. These are the levers. And the best part is they're all learnable. You don't need to be born with them. You just need to commit to acquiring them. The most dangerous belief is that you need to wait. Wait until you have more time. Wait until the business is more stable. Wait until someone else comes in to fix it. That's a trap. The only thing you need is to identify the one skill that's holding you back and then go all in on mastering it. Read the books, hire the coach, watch the videos, get in the reps. Because once that skill is yours, no one can take it away, and it keeps paying you forever. You look at the highest performers in the world, athletes, founders, creators. They're not outworking everyone in hours. They're outskilling them. They're doing the right things in the right way at the right time. That precision comes from skill, not hustle. When you understand that, you stop feeling behind. You stop being overwhelmed. You realize you don't need more time in your day. You need more power in your action. And that power comes from skill, always.